you are very quiet. Surface streets are quiet.
Good morning, Oloba. Welcome back. Yate Ben Sonwai Talauba. Bonjour. Can you believe it's already Wednesday? It is 79 degrees outside. And we are back on the road. It's a nice day. So sit back, take a ride, and enjoy the view. Let's see if we capture any weirdos today.
The Phoenix Business Journal report the oversized ball cap company signed a licensing deal with the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee. The company can now sell licensed hats displaying the Olympic logo and Team USA. Have you seen these things, by the way, Gina?
I have. They look like cartoon hats.
They're ginormous.
I know.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun, but I don't know. I don't know where I'd wear them besides around the house or on Halloween. I don't know. On Wall Street right now, Dow futures are down 211 points. The S&P's down almost 30, and the Nasdaq is down 113. Opening bell in less than an hour from now. After the close yesterday, we saw the Dow lose about 0.5% of its worth. It lost 216 points at the close yesterday. For more money news, visit the Collins Comfort Masters Business Center at KTAR.com. And another wildfires burning in Arizona. It may have destroyed some homes. Our wildfire expert, Jim Cross, is going to join us next on Arizona's Morning News to discuss how much bigger this fire could get and what could make this wildfire season really bad. Next on Arizona's Morning News.
Chris and Joe.
You want to make big bucks, but if you're going to see success...
Past. But attitudes are changing, according to a recent survey conducted by the American Psychological Association. It showed that about 14% of school employees had been victims of physical violence. Justin Heinze says when it comes to teachers,
some estimates are more than 50% of teachers experience some form of victimization, whether from students, their peers, or parents.
That can take many forms, says Heinze, who is co-director of the National Center for School Safety. It can include verbal threats, sexual harassment, and stolen property. Katie Warren heads the teachers union in Wichita. She says when fights break out in hallways or common areas, teachers often serve as first responders.
These things happen so quickly. Like it might happen in a bathroom, and by the time security gets there, the teachers are in the hallway and able to respond quicker. And it's unfortunate when teachers are put in a spot where they have to intervene and could possibly end up really injured.
That happened to teacher Dave Clark when he was athletic director at a Wichita high school. He was standing in a hallway when a fight broke out last August. A school police officer restrained one student, and when another student jumped on the officer's back, Clark ran in to help.
And a mob had ensued, and I got between the police officer and the mob, and pretty much that's the last thing I remember because I was knocked unconscious.
Clark suffered a severe concussion and was on medical leave for the rest of the school year. He plans to return to teaching in the fall, but he lost his position as athletic director.
I lost my career that I loved through no fault of my own by protecting the police officer and students. So it is maddening.
Most states, including Kansas, don't require schools to report teacher injuries. Some school districts do track them, but there's no uniform process or data that shows the extent of the problem. Heinze, the national researcher, says conflict resolution programs have been shown to reduce school violence. But when fights do break out, there aren't clear rules about what teachers should do.
How are we intervening? These are sometimes things that school resource officers might be trained in, might be assistant principals, but oftentimes for teachers, the training isn't as intentional.
Some states are taking steps to combat school violence, but few are addressing teacher injuries directly. One that does is Indiana. Lawmakers there approved a measure that requires schools to report and track teacher injuries. Supporters say it's an effort to measure the extent of the problem and hold schools accountable. Meanwhile, Dave Clark, the teacher in Wichita, is still recovering from his concussion, but he says he doesn't regret jumping in to help.
I'm there to help protect kids. May not say that on my contract, but when I'm there, the kids are in my care, so I wouldn't blink. I'd do it again.
That may be a common teacher sentiment, But Heinze from the Center for School Safety says teachers who are threatened or injured might start considering a different career.
You're going to have some very real implications for teacher retention, which is a very big deal right now when we know that there are many people choosing to leave the profession.
He says more complete tracking and reporting, along with violence prevention programs, would help schools address the problem and keep teachers safe. For NPR News, I'm Suzanne Perez in Wichita.
And from Wichita here to Phoenix, it's Morning Edition on KJZZ. Getting you up and going on this Wednesday. It's 17 minutes before 6 o'clock. We'll have the Marketplace Morning Report coming up in about 10 minutes. The Fed, the Federal Reserve, released its annual survey of household economics and decision-making last week. One specific point the Fed highlighted when it comes to inflation was child care costs are significant for families. We'll hear about that in all today's business news at 5:52 here on 91.5. Check now with KJZZ News at 5:43. Oro Valley, just north of Tucson, is asking residents for their input on the town's 10-year plan to limit water resources. From the Fronteras desk, KJZZ's Elisa Resnick has more.
Town leaders released the results of a community survey that had residents responding to a series of questions about various resources, including some about water. Things like how important using recycled water would be, or whether limits should be put on development to preserve water sources. That survey was one step in a several-stage process the town is going through to create a new 10-year plan. Local water officials say now they want the public to review the draft plan and provide input where they see fit. Voters will have the chance to approve a final version of the plan in 2026. Oro Valley is also one of a handful of southern Arizona sites set to receive federal funding to clean up groundwater. Elisa Resnick, KJZZ News, Tucson.
And this is KJZZ News.
The case accusing Donald Trump of making hush money payments to influence the 2016 election goes to the jury. Legal insights into the historic trial. Next time on Here and Now.
Join us for Here and Now. That'll be this morning at 10 after the show at 9 on KJZZ. And temps above the century mark for the rest of the week. 106 yesterday, that was the hottest day yet of the year. Maybe not as hot today. They forecast high of 103 in Phoenix. Right now, we're at 77 degrees at 5:44.
Support for NPR comes from the station and from the Public Welfare Foundation, committed to advancing a transformative approach to justice that is community-led, restorative, and racially just. Learn more at publicwelfare.org. From the Skoll Foundation, dedicated to powering social innovators to transform the world. Learn more at skoll.org. And from the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, for nearly a century, supporting efforts to promote a just, equitable, and sustainable society. More at Mott.
I believe to be the case, again, according to ABC 15, they had several homes threatened last night. Not sure exactly how big this area is. It's called Riverside. It's an area about 9 or 10 miles north of Kearney. But this fire burned very hot late into the night. It's probably at least 400 acres, maybe more. We're still waiting for the morning update. No lives have been lost. We don't have any reports of any injuries, but hopefully firefighters can get a handle on this.
For those who are trying to figure out exactly where this is, it's in Pinal County. Yeah. I call the back way to Tucson the 79. You know, you take this, you take that Florence Junction turn off there on 79 off the 60 and takes you through Florence. This is on the back way to Tucson. It's the 177 south of Superior. It's beautiful country out there, but it is it's ripe for fires.
It is rugged country out there. It's in a canyon. You know, you got the Kearney area. You have Ray in that area. It's a mining area.
Right.
I've been on fires out there before. Several years ago. That was more of a river bottom fire, but it got out of the river bottom and burned up some homes then too.
You know, I've been hearing a lot about invasive plant species, non-native plants that people brought from back east or from wherever they came from. They had gotten worse through the years, turned what was once a relatively wide open desert into a place where there's no space between brush. That's making things worse. worse. Not necessarily in this area, but that is a big concern for those who have to fight these wildfires.
Yeah, one of the biggest invasive weeds that they're worried about, with good reason, is called stink gnat.
Right.
It's that little weed that has the yellow balls on it.
Yes.
And that burns incredibly when it gets going. And that's one of the invasive things. And we had enough brush and grass and weeds already created by that winter rainfall. Now you throw this in around the deserts and, or, around the central part of the state. This is going to be a very long fire season.
Yeah, that stink gnat, people were saying it spreads like wildfire.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it just seems to be everywhere.
it causes, a lot of fuel for wildfires. It is everywhere this year. I don't know if I've ever seen that much of that stuff around.
Yeah, there's a lot of that around and a lot of everything else. So, we're looking at, we're just now closing in on the end of May. We're probably going to be in heightened fire danger through at least June. Hopefully the monsoon rains will show up early July. But the last projections we had on the monsoon was this does not look like much of an event. But we're still, a month or so away from the rainfall. We're actually now only, just a few days away from the official calendar start of June 15th.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, for the monsoon then.
Bring it on. I hope we have a much better one than last year.
It wouldn't be hard to top it.
So what is the outlook for this particular fire, this Simmons fire burning near Kearney, which is southeast of the valley? Are they thinking they're going to get this thing contained pretty quickly, or at this point is it still all bets are off?
Right now it's just hard to tell. I should know more maybe in an hour from now, half hour from now, but there's room for growth on the fire, that's for sure. And again, the range right now, 300 or 400 acres, no new estimate yet this morning. I would assume it's probably over 500 by now, but we'll see.
Wow. All right. Thanks a lot. KTAR senior news reporter Jim Cross is not just our wildfire expert. He really is the Valley's media wildfire expert. And we're going to check in with him again on this. I feel so bad for people that, they buy a home in this beautiful area, and this is not one of those places where people go to retire. It's not ritzy at all. These are people who, a very good chance that's all they have is that house that they lost. Just gotta pray for them and
they've been hit twice now.
Oh, I know. It's just crazy. All right. It's 5:49 now on Arizona's Morning News, and let's update traffic here in the Valley. John Roller's on that for you from the Valley Chevy Dealers Traffic Center.
Jim, we have reports of a downed motorcycle. This is over the west side, southbound Loop 101, the Hour Freeway at the Peoria on-ramp. However, not seeing any slowing, seeing a little restrictions there on the surface street Peoria as folks try to make their way southbound on the 101, so we'll keep an eye on that. A little farther south, we are seeing some slow and go on the southbound 101 Hour Freeway. As you make the transition to the eastbound I-10, that slowing on the 10 is going to start right at about 107th Avenue, and that's going to stay with you right on through the stack. About 27 minutes on your ride in. Bethany Home Road south to McDowell now, starting to build on the southbound I-17. Then again south of the stack through the Durango curve over to 7th Street. Other than that, main line's looking pretty good right now. You are right on time if you're coming southbound on the 51 from Shea Boulevard down through the mini stack. Right now about 12 minutes on your ride in. East Valley, you are quiet. One incident on the board, police activity, 48th Street and Warner. John Roller, KTAR News.
Sunny today, sunny tomorrow, sunny for really through the weekend. Looking at a high today of 103, a low tonight of 78, and a high tomorrow of 104. Weather's brought to you by Howard Air. Whether replace or repair, call Howard Air. KTAR News time is 5:50.
Hey, if you're struggling to lose weight, go to Red Mountain Weight Loss. We'll show you how shedding those unwanted pounds has never been easier. It's a new FDA-approved drug called semaglutide.
Campaign season is in full swing in advance of this summer's primaries and November's general election. This morning at 9 on the show, while lots of voters say candidates aren't talking about the right issues. And the unexpected figures providing relief in hospitals and crisis zones all over the world, humanitarian clouds. That and more on the show this morning at 9 on KJZZ and KJZZ.org.
103, the forecast after getting to 106 yesterday in Phoenix. Right now we are at 77 degrees in Sky Harbor at 5:52.
Exxon is on the offensive.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Palo Alto Networks. Palo Alto Networks delivers what's next in cybersecurity innovation to protect today's digital way of life. Learn more at paloaltonetworks.com. And by Amazon Business, helping provide a smarter, easier way to get the supplies businesses need to thrive. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore, in for David Brancaccio. Tensions between ExxonMobil and some of its shareholders may well boil over this morning when the company holds its annual shareholder meeting. Some of Exxon's activist shareholders have been pushing the oil giant to do things like adopt a greenhouse gas reduction plan. Exxon is suing them for basically harassing the company. One major shareholder has responded by promising to vote against the re-election of Exxon's current board of directors. Marketplace's Nova Safo has more.
Activist investor groups have for years now been pressuring ExxonMobil and other giant oil companies to adopt tougher carbon emissions reduction targets. 4 of the 5 biggest Western oil giants have done so. Exxon has not. 2 shareholder groups proposed a climate-related resolution for its meeting today. Exxon sued them, saying their proposal sought to diminish its existing business. In response, another major investor, the California Public Employees Retirement System, the nation's largest pension fund, said it would oppose the company's current board of directors, promising to vote against their re-election. CalPERS said Exxon's lawsuit could diminish shareholder rights. Other oil giants are facing pressures too. Earlier this year, Shell weakened its carbon reduction targets as strong demand for oil and gas keeps its conventional business humming. One of the same groups pressuring Exxon filed the resolution during Shell's contentious shareholder meeting last week. It was overwhelmingly defeated amid protests. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
And more news from the oil industry just now. ConocoPhillips is buying Marathon Oil for $22.5 billion. This is just the latest merger in big oil. Exxon bought Pioneer for $60 billion in October, and Chevron is working on a deal to buy Hess for $53 billion. All right, let's do the numbers. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are all down in the 7 to 0.8% range. Dow futures down 256 points. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.572%. And American Airlines says it expects sales to fall 6% compared to last year. Even as we head into the busy summer travel season, American Airlines stock is down more than 9% in pre-market trading.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Viking, exploring the world in comfort. With a fleet of small ships, Viking offers travel experiences for the thinking person. Discover more at Viking.com. And by Betterment, the automated investing platform that helps make it easy to be invested for the long term. Learn more at Betterment.com. Investing